The lake is calm today. A single church tower rises from the very middle of the water. It looks quite alone, it looks old and tired, a single stone finger pointing to the sky. People say it is a small sad thing that watches the clouds drift by. It is the only part of a forgotten world that still breathes the open air. Say, known by most as Curon. The lake holds Curon, a village sleeping deep beneath the surface. With Curon, it holds a small library, paper, ink, silence, water. This is not a tale of grand battles nor of kings. It is a quiet story. A town was here, now it is not. Before the water came, Curon was a living place. It was a cluster of stone houses with wooden roofs, nestled in a green valley in South Tyrol. People lived their whole lives there, as their parents and grandparents had before them. They worked the fields, tended to their animals, gathered in the small church on Sundays, a community bound by shared work, shared faith, and the shared rhythm of the seasons. Life was not always easy, but it was their own. They knew the curve of every hill and the name of every family. The town was a part of them, and they were a part of it. Its history stretched back for centuries. It had seen hardship before. It had endured wars and harsh winters, but it had always survived. The people were resilient, rebuilding what was broken and replanting what was lost. Traditions passed down, the town a living archive carved into the landscape. The idea of the dam was a slow, creeping shadow. The construction of the dam was a brutal act of creation. It brought loud machines and unfamiliar faces into the quiet valley. The air, once filled with cowbells and wind, now echoed with the clang of steel and the roar of engines. Dynamite blasts shook the earth, sending tremors through the walls of the old stone houses. The concrete wall grew taller day by day, sealing the valley's fate, the physical shape of their loss. The dam promised power for others. For them, it was a wall holding back a flood of sorrow. On the day the floodgates were closed, a strange quiet fell. The machines stopped, the workers left. The water began its slow, relentless rise, not a wave, but a gentle, creeping tide. It lapped at the fields, climbed the slopes, swallowed the fences, the doorsteps, the windowsills. House by house, the town disappeared. Roofs dipped beneath the surface, chimneys where smoke would never rise again. In the heart of the old town, there was a small library, not grand, but humble. Perhaps just one room, or two. The air smelled of old paper, wood polish, dried flowers. Sunlight fell in dusty shafts, illuminating worn spines. This library was the town's quiet center, children discovering worlds, adults finding solace and knowledge. A room full of voices waiting to be heard. The librarian seemed to belong to the library itself, known in local tales as Maria, a quiet, gentle lover of stories. She knew every book as a friend. Tales that widened children's eyes, poems that soothed worried hearts. Books were vessels of truth, memory, hope. Her role went beyond stamping dates. She was the guardian of the town's imagination. In a hard, predictable place, the library offered escape, adventures, ideas, collected wisdom. She kept the flame of curiosity alive, encouraged the young, helped the old, kept the room welcoming. In those turbulent 1940s, not all books were considered safe. Under shifting powers, certain ideas were deemed dangerous, Books that spoke of freedom, questioned authority, or used a language falling out of favor were often forbidden. These books were hunted, confiscated, sometimes burned in public squares. To own such a book was quiet defiance. To share one was bravery, whispers of dissent in a world demanding uniform agreement, small sparks of truth in a time of great falsehoods. The librarian believed a library should be sanctuary, not censure, and so, legend says, she kept a secret collection hidden beneath a floorboard. Not just books, but acts of rebellion, a promise that inquiry and freedom would not be extinguished. People knew the secret. After dark, they read by a single lamp, passing hope and resistance from hand to hand, a silent protest, affirming their right to think, remember their culture, their own language. The final day was a day of ghosts. The town was empty but not silent. The wind whistled through vacant doorways, through broken panes. Families took what they could carry, leaving heavy furniture, unwieldy tools and small trinkets that make a house a home. A child's toy lay abandoned. A single cup sat on a table. The town felt like a stage after the play had ended. Props scattered, actors gone. It waited for the final curtain of water. Maria spent the last day in her beloved library, packing a few small volumes she could not bear to lose. She knew she could not save them all, the weight of all that paper and knowledge, waiting for readers who would never come. As shadows lengthened, the sound of water grew distinct, soft, lapping, a persistent whisper. She thought of all the hands that held these books, the eyes, the hearts the stories had moved. Some say as water seeped under the door, she read and waited. Others say she locked the door, determined to guard her collection, even in its watery grave. Once the town was gone, a strange new folklore began to grow, the legend of the sunken bells. The great bells were removed before the flood, a fact recorded, but facts have little power over a good story. People said that on certain winter nights, when the lake is still, you can hear the old church bells tolling from deep beneath the water, not loud or joyful, a slow, muffled chime, a mournful echo from a lost world, a call from the past, the voice of the drowned town, reminding those on shore it is still there. The sound carries sorrow, a community mourning its death, and yet a sound of persistence, a heartbeat, faint and deep, that says the town is not dead, merely sleeping. Alongside the bells, another legend whispers, the librarian never left. On those nights, some hear footsteps and a page turning far below. What is left of Curon is more than just a stone tower. What remains is memory, woven into stories passed from one generation to the next. The town is gone, dissolved into silt. The books turn to pulp, their ink bleeding like ghosts of words. But the essence of the town and its library survives, in tales told, in the sad, beautiful melody of a local song, in quiet contemplation of the lonely tower. The story of the librarian and her hidden books has become a promise. Ideas can endure. A book can be burned or drowned, but the story can live on in the human mind. They spoke forbidden names, recited forbidden poems, turning shared memory into a library no flood could reach. Every ripple seems to carry the promise. The legend gives it shape. The lake learned the names from pages it consumed. It remembers the weight as books settled on the bottom. The church tower continues its silent watch, an icon on postcards, beautiful in solitude, a piece of the past marooned in the present. For those who know, it is more than a picturesque ruin, the last visible word of a sentence that has been erased. It stands for all the houses, all the streets, and all the lives that lie beneath. The tower does not speak, but it tells the whole story to anyone willing to listen with their eyes and heart. The story of Curon is small, but holds a large truth. Progress has a cost, often paid by the quietest voices. Homes are more than buildings. Culture is fragile, yet communities are resilient. People make more than walls and roofs. They make stories, and stories are harder to drown than stone and wood. A book remembered and spoken becomes a living thing. The words find a new home, a new page, a new life. The drowned books are reborn in the telling. The lake keeps its secrets, the tower keeps its vigil, and the story keeps a small light burning in the depths.